problem is that people are wanting that quick fix and they think this is the magic pill. This is going to make me lose weight really quickly. Well, took me 50 years to get to where I was, and it's not going to take, a drug to fix that in a matter of weeks, which is what I want. I want to lose all my weight quickly. It's not going to happen. I've got to work for it.
You're exactly right. Carnivore actually will break the addiction, just like you coined the phrase the off switch, Lindy. Carnivore will actually heal your body, break the addiction. I think the hard part is they've done a lot of things. I think the mainstream narrative has been successful with propaganda pushing one that once an addict, always an addict, and I'm not here to say that might not be true for some people. Maybe it is, because that is one of the more common things I find myself with a lot of people disagreeing with, because it's not been, and maybe I'm just really fortunate. I don't know. I could be just really fortunate, but I do not believe that once an addict, always an addict. I've been freed from too many addictions to think that. Now, that doesn't go to say that I don't think that you can be tempted again and be re-addicted to something. Like, there's still, the temptation was there before you were ever an addict, before the first time you tried it, and you fell into it, you got addicted to it. But I don't think you have to stay an addict. I'm certainly not an addict to anything anymore. But I think about that and the reason why I'm saying that is not to be like, good for me. I'm saying that because if you believe that narrative, which I believe is a propaganda narrative, because they want you to believe that, well, now that you're an addict, you can't not be an addict. So you need a miracle pill that'll let you be an addict and still, use Ozempic to eat bad and get away with it, basically. That's why Ozempic, because they have these people believing that their willpower, whatever, is pretty bad, and that they're super addicted. They can't be freed. And so they have to take Ozempic so that it's their only shot. Or, and before Ozempic, it was bariatric surgery. Well, you can't change. You can't, there's nothing that's going to fix you. So we got to cut out your stomach. We have to put a restriction in. So I saw that. And I think that that's just a little bit of propaganda, where what we found on carnivore is that if you eat the proper human diet, you no longer have to be so worried about it taking some time, because it is healing. It does for you. It gives you the off switch that Lindy talks about all the time. And then, then that's helpful, because then you can sustain it for a longer period of time. So,
yeah. I guess, why do we eat anyway? Like, why did I fall into such a bad way of eating and end up, 750, 800 pounds? And it all, like, I've always been overweight. But when I lost my mum, that was a big, big loss. And I felt like I had to eat to fill that hole that she left inside me. So it was a comfort eating, because that would I was trying to make this pain go away. And so when I was eating something, I wasn't thinking of my mum. I was enjoying the food, and then I was looking for the next fix, like getting that dopamine hit, whatever it is. So I didn't think about my mum 24/7. And finding carnivore, it's quieting those noises. I'm not, it also took a lot of time to get over losing my mum. And I've been really strong for the last 3 years. And then after Texas, and then my daughter's losing her sight, and thinking, oh, she can't even see me shrinking. Like, she can't see me anymore. And she was one of my whys, and she can't see that. And that kind of really threw me. And I've fallen back into that, like wanting to eat again, that comfort, trying to fill in that void, that hole, because now my daughter can't see me, and it's like I can't fix it. It's over. And I'm trying to, like, I realize what the problem is now. So I'm not calling it an addiction. It's more a comfort, a habit that I had earlier that has come back now. And I'm currently fighting that, because every now and then I get into this little bit of a depression, and I think about my daughter. I start to look, and then I just think about chocolate or ice cream and trying to make that pain go away. So I wouldn't call that an addiction. It's just an old habit that I'd lent into to help me feel better. But what it's doing is actually making me feel worse. It's making me crawl into that hole again and stay away from the world. And it's a bad spiral that I just don't want to go down again. So, yeah, would you call that addiction, or just more a habit?
Yeah, I would definitely call it a habit. Like, because I still have those too. Like, I have weird things that were habits that I'll cross paths with that will make my brain go, oh, remember when we do this, this is what that habit was, like it go. I don't know. I guess I'll go through certain rituals. Like I said, I think last week where I parked in a parking space that I used to park in when I would go get Taco Bell and eat it. So all of a sudden when I parked there, my brain was like, oh, remember this Taco Bell, and I was like, but then it was weird because that whole thing came back and it was really weird. But then what I was happy about was it felt gross. And I was like,
Mm,
because it felt like I'd had a bad dream and I was revisiting it or something. It's like, oh, because I just remember
yeah.
in that spot, I remembered, having that behavior, having to go to Taco Bell to soothe the anxiety and the, whatever, some, anxiety, depression thing that was going on. I would go get Taco Bell, park in that spot, eat all this stuff, and then go home absolutely miserable, just beating myself up, like suicidally miserable, going, how long am I going to keep doing this? How long am I going to keep going through this cycle where we've all been there. You know how when you're going to get some dang thing that is going to make you happy for a minute, but by the time you're even done eating it and leaving, you're going to be miserable, even more miserable than you already are. And
Mm.
you go do it anyhow for that sliver of a little bit of peace and happiness for a second, you know?
Yeah. Before Texas, I would go out. We'd go to my mother-in-law's, and she'd make us a roast with veggies, and she'd always put a vegetable on my plate with a piece of pumpkin or potato, and I would eat it just to, just so I didn't get her in my head. And I loved it. It was that challenge of knowing that I can stop at that one potato, and if the craving comes, I know I go home and I have some meat.
Right.
And like and I went to a few events, and everyone's like, "Aren't you going to eat anything?" And it's like, "Oh no, I ate before I left, and just sip on my water." And people were like, "Yeah, she's a freak." And I was feeling so good inside, like I was really strong. But it's obviously now, because of what's going on in my life and something that I can't control. That's why I'm feeling weak now.
Hmm.
But before that, I was like, bring on the challenges. I wanted all these challenges because I wanted to prove to myself that I didn't have to eat a cookie or a whole pack of biscuits or like, put it in front of me. I don't care. I don't want it. I was so strong. And
Well, and
yeah.
I think for me, I've been there too. And when I get distracted or I get out of my routine and I get out of if I get out of kind of the routine that I was in that gave me a strong mindset, like when that's that exact point, when that went away from me, because you just said, with Catherine and stuff, the stuff that's out of your control, that was actually, which for me is kind of a Christian principle. When I was when Dad and Ty died, I was just like, well, no, I can't control anything. I'm in
Mm,
control of absolutely nothing. Like everything's going to hell around me, and you feel helpless. But there are things. I was listening to Jordan Peterson, and there are things. It's like that's why he says make your bed, right? It's like you don't start with trying to save somebody's life or cure a chronic illness or cure an addict or save somebody.
mm,
If you want to do that, you actually just have to start with yourself. And so that was literally why I was like, well, maybe I could do this. And you just have to deal with the things that you can control in your life. And so that's why that day I picked soda. I was like, I am going to stop drinking calories. That was the first declaration that I made, and I did keep that.
yeah.
I stopped drinking calories because that was one thing I could control that I thought would make a difference. And Jordan Peterson will always say, if you want to pray something that really matters, sit on the edge of your bed and say, what ridiculously stupid thing am I doing right now that I know is hurting me, that I could stop, that I might stop if I made the goal small enough. And then he said, you'll be surprised because you'll hear it loud and clear and you'll know exactly what it is because it'll be the last thing that you want to do and it'll come to you, and then you make it
Mm,
small enough that you start there. And that was why I basically did that exercise and I came up with soda. I'm like, I have to stop drinking calories.